All right. Well, welcome to Wednesday night. And these are the elements that we're learning, the new habits of health. Well, I don't know how new they are. They're not really that new, but they're still as vital and as important as they were when Dr. Anderson wrote them. So, what you should do is you should pat yourselves on the back because even in this element, we talk about the key to success is really changing the psychological part of your experience. So if we just use something to lose weight, but we don't change how we think about things or how we react to things or all the things that go on in this complicated little brain of ours, what happens is we're treating it just like a diet, which we know diets don't work. And what happens is when you're done with the fuelings or however you're doing it, you end up going back to the way you used to do it. And then you end up gaining your weight back. So you need to change not only what you eat, but you need to change how you think. And so that's a big part of it. So just to say real quick, Clark and Nancy Peterson, we coach together. We have Peterson's Team Hope. And what we're here to do is really to help people one heart at a time, because this is the reason we coach. Because both of us struggled with our weight. Both of us we tried diets, didn't work. And when we found this and we were able to take off the weight and actually keep the weight off, we said, this is something we have to share. This is something we need to help other people with. And it is not a one and done, guys. It's not like we say, okay, just do a step 1, 2, and 3, and you'll never have a struggle again the rest of your life. Now, we all would like that, but that isn't how it works. So it takes time, it takes practice, it takes creating the new habit. When you create the new habit, then honestly, it isn't that hard. Because that is how you live your life, right? That is how you do it. So, all right. So that being said, tonight we're talking about the elephant in the room. And you may think, what does that mean? So, all right. I don't know about you, but I know when I began the program and they said, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to eat these 5 fuelings a day. And then, of course, you say to yourself, what the heck is a fueling? And you're going to have 1 lean and green meal. There were a lot of thoughts I had about that. And I don't know if you did too, but maybe some of the thoughts were, how about for you? What were some of the thoughts?
Well, I didn't understand the whole food thing. I just didn't, I'm spending this money and that's what this is, type of thing. That's what I did. That was my reaction.
Yeah. And when I started, I thought, wait a minute, these are prepackaged foods. And haven't we all been told don't eat prepackaged foods? Right? Well, yeah. So you kind of go, and then you have this little internal struggle thing. You're like, to be eating whole foods. What's this prepackaged stuff and all that, right? But then one thing to think about is this. When you went grocery shopping before, did you ever buy cereal? Did you ever buy crackers? Did you ever buy cookies?
Oh.
How about those? How about what?
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal. These are prepackaged foods, guys. That's what that is. And so I really did have a mental struggle on, was I doing the right thing when I was? And this particular element, it was fascinating to me, to us, because it really revealed information that clarified why and how this works, why it works better. Okay, so one of the things that was said by there's a researcher, scientific researcher who studies obesity, last name Danziger. Okay, I don't know what his first name was, But he said we could overcome obesity in this country in a matter of months if we could change people's psychological and logistical barriers. So the psychological, I mean, if you guys studied element 4, and if you didn't, you should go back and take a look at it. But element 4 talks about managing emotions, managing stress, because the things that go on in our brain trigger us to eat. Maybe it's an event. Maybe there is a, it's like, here's a good example. Lori, I'm going to give her away, Nancy. So Nancy's daughter, Lori, had a tradition of going away on a vacation with her son, and they had all these things they would do. Some of them probably did not support good health. All right. And I'm sure all of us can relate to it in that, I mean, you go to a certain part of the country and you're like, I have to eat, you go like what? You go to a wedding, you have to eat this, or you go to a particular part of the country, they're known for, okay, let's say Louisiana, right? New Orleans, and they're known for, what are they called, Lisa?
Fried Oreos. No, just joking.
Fried Oreos, right? So what do? You want to eat those fried Oreos, right? So the thing is, what is that? That is pretty much a habit, right? And I'm not saying you can't ever do that. I'm just saying if we always are connected to those things, then what happens is you're going to take in a lot of foods that are not going to support the health you really want, right? So basically what this researcher was saying is there's two things that contribute. One is the psychological part, but the second thing is logistical. And what he means by that is this. If last week we talked about how you eat every 3 hours and how important that is to maintaining your health and maintaining a healthy weight. So if that's what you're supposed to do, and you want to use whole foods to do it, which is really Optavia wants you to use whole foods. Okay, they're not saying don't do that. They want you to. But what we think of whole foods and what whole foods are, they're saying whole foods are two different things. Okay. So anyway, you want to eat every 3 hours, but you're out and about. Your 3 hours are up. You didn't, prepare like a little thing of protein with some, good carbs and whatever to eat. So what do? I'm starving. Got to get something. So what you do is you go through drive-through, right?
Right.
And really, honestly, at a drive-through, is there really anything healthy?
No.
Most likely not. Most likely not. And even something that looks kind of healthy can be not so healthy. So logistics, when he talks about logistics, it's just that. If you're wanting to get to a healthy weight at the most, at the quickest way possible, right? Trying to do it on your own and figure all that out is hard. And you have to have a lot of knowledge, and because it's not just picking like one thing that looks like it's reasonably healthy. If you want to feed your body correctly with the right nutrition, you need to have a certain amount of protein, certain amount of carbs. You need the right vitamins and minerals, right? If you really want to fuel your body the way it needs to be fueled, especially if you're trying to reduce your weight, because you can lose some weight, but you don't want to lose your health doing it, right? I mean, the program was started years and years ago when people needed to have surgery, but they were too heavy to have surgery. So the doctors wanted their patient to lose the weight, but they wanted them to maintain their health while they were losing the weight because they were going into surgery. And if they were going into surgery, they wanted their patient to be as healthy as possible. Okay. So they did this type of program, right? So that being said, what enters stage right, but Optavia Fuelings. Okay, why? Because it has the right protein, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals, even probiotics, right? Probiotics to have you be healthy while losing the weight. That is not meant to go on forever and ever. Although there's nothing wrong with having the Fuelings if you wanted to, for as long as you wanted to. I mean, there are people that they just don't want to go back to having their chocolate candy bar every day. So they continue to order the drizzled fudge bar because that they don't gain the weight and it gives them their chocolate fix, right?
You're good.
Which is good, but that is not necessarily, I mean, it's not what the program is necessarily designed for. Okay, we really want you to go whole foods, but the thing is, until you really get in the habit of eating every 3 hours and eating the right amount, it's hard to transition over to whole foods from there. So in comes the Fuelings. All right, so what's so good about the Fuelings? First of all, they're best in class. I mean, have you ever gone out to try to get an energy bar in the store?
Like 300 calories and 45 grams of carbohydrates. That's an exaggeration, but
Usually,
No, it's not.
usually they have a high sugar, low protein ratio. The protein is low and the sugar's high. So that's not a good combination.
Yeah, Cliff. I mean, I used to think Cliff bars were the best, right? Okay, so if you were baking a cake, guys, if you were baking a cake and you wanted that, and you had this very special company coming over, and you wanted that cake just to be the best cake ever, how would you bake it? You would say, okay, it's calling for 2 cups of flour, right? So you would carefully measure 2 cups of flour, call for a cup of sugar. You would carefully measure a cup of sugar, right? You would follow the ingredients. And then what would happen? You'd have a lovely cake, right? You'd bake it and it would come out lovely. That is how the program's put together. So when you have a Fueling, it has a certain percentage of all the nutrition that you need. But just like a puzzle piece, that's only one piece of the puzzle. So the other pieces of the puzzle are the other 4 Fuelings, right? And the nutrition in those work together with that other one. And the lean and green meal works with that. So that gives you, those are the ingredients to best health. So when you say, well, I can't really get in that other Fueling, or you, for example, you change up the lean and green meal to not kind of fall into what we're telling you that's the best, then what happens is you don't get that beautiful result. Altered plan equals altered result. So it's not to say you can't lose some weight doing that. But what we have to keep in mind is, one, we want your nutrition to be right on the mark. I had a bunch of blood work done, and I just sent it to the doctors, and the doctor's like, looks good. Looks good. So, I mean, I contribute a lot of that to how I eat. So that's super important, right? You want to use all pieces of the puzzle, and those Fuelings literally are best in class because they have balanced proteins, the right minerals, carbohydrates, and another one, relatively low fat. And one thing to keep in mind when we talk about low fat is when you do your lean and green, if it requires fat, make sure you're using your fat. Because good fat, the importance of good fat is it helps you to absorb different vitamins. All right. So if you're eating all these good vitamins, you're not getting in the right amount of fats. What does that do? It doesn't, you're not going to absorb the vitamins that you really need to. Does that all make sense? Yeah. So just real quick back to what Lisa said. If you go to the store and you try to find something equivalent, I mean, you might find something similar, but what you have to remember is the way the program's put together, it's a balanced amount of everything and not just calories. So a lot of people say, well, the fuelings are 100 calories. So it probably is no big deal if I go get that 100-calorie pack of Oreo cookies and substitute that. I mean, does that ever come up for you? Yeah, see, Jane's shaking her head, yes. But that is one of the biggest misunderstandings in the, I'm going to call it the diet world. Because in the diet world, what they talk about is usually just calories, right? They say to you, okay, Betty, if you go on 1,200 calories, and so you say to yourself, okay, now if I get that banana split, that's just 800 calories. That still gives me 400 calories, and those 20 Oreo cookies will fill the bill. Look at Lisa's shaking her head. That worries me. Okay, so I want you to stop thinking, stop it, guys. Stop thinking calories. I want you to start thinking nutrition. Nutrition, okay? And here's the thing with nutrition. There's a lot more to know about it than just, hey, like I love it. When Jane started the program, she's like, yeah, I eat all this good food, but I'm overweight. I'm like, yeah, you eat all that good food. And she went to the doctors and the doctor said, yeah, because you're a healthy overeater. So basically she was eating good things, but she was eating the wrong proportions, right? So there's a lot of, in Optavia, there's a lot of education about portions, types of foods, low glycemic index, all the things that really contribute to your best health. So, all right. Here's another thing about the fuelings. Have you ever heard of programs that they basically say, now listen, what we want you to do is we want you to drink 3 shakes a day, and then you can eat a 12-ounce ribeye. Right. Now, I don't know about you, but that would bore me to tears. So with Optavia, with the fuelings, there are a lot of different fuelings. And I don't know if all of you saw this, but I sent out the other day that you can actually take the peanut butter shake and put a little bit of water into it, turn it into like peanut butter, and serve it with celery sticks as one of your fuelings. I thought that's a pretty clever thing. I've also taken some of the fuelings and made different things with them. I've made a chocolate cherry cake with the chocolate cherry shake. So you just add some egg whites, and I baked it and it was delicious. So all that to say is there's variety. And so I really recommend that you take advantage of that. I know what happens is you end up getting a few of your favorite fuelings. I don't know about you, but I love the chocolate mint bars. And so, right? And so you end up going, well, I'm just going to get, 20 boxes of chocolate mint bars, but don't do that. Try to shake it up. And Optavia is slowly going to be bringing on some more fuelings because they've kind of changed up things. So you can be on the lookout for that. Right now, the butterscotch brownie is the new one. So anyway, there's good. Oh, you asking about powdered peanut butter? Okay, so I've got a question here. You all might be wondering about this. So Jane's asking about the powdered peanut butter, and I know you can get it at Costco. I think it's called powdered PB something or other. Yeah. So I believe you can use it, but this is the recommendation that you shouldn't. But I know. But I would have to see. I want to say it counts as a condiment, but I'd have to look it up and check on that, and I will do that for you. So because she bought some. There it is. Okay. Do you know, Shannon, how it counts?
So how much water?
I use a very small amount sometimes in my shake just to, I mean, it's small because a little bit goes a long way. Like you could do almost half of a teaspoon. I mean, it's a little goes a long way. So let me see.
I have a
I
bottle
know-
of that too.
Yeah, I know people have used it. I know they've used it like in their brownie and made it like a chocolate peanut butter brownie.
Yeah, I mean, 2 tablespoons. I don't personally use 2 tablespoons, and that's 5 carbs, 6 grams of protein, 1.5 grams of fat, 60 calories. But I mean, I don't use even close to that much. So it just sometimes in your chocolate, like it just gives a little bit of that peanut butter flair. So yeah, there's the
Okay, I'm gonna guess it's considered like a condiment, but I will, what I'll do is I'll find out. No, I'll find that out and I'll let everybody know next week
yeah.
what it is. But if you can not add things in, it's probably good. And I mean, I know you can use some egg whites, but if it really helps you, Jane, then you just go right ahead. Okay.
At least it was celery. Like,
Yeah.
like a little bit of water and just enough to.
But how much do you use though? Okay, so see, that's exactly, so Shannon uses a half a teaspoon in a shake. But the way that Jane's using it, she mixes probably a tablespoon or 2 heaping with some water. Okay, so this is a great example.
Celery.
So we're not saying to Jane, bad girl. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is this is the education that you get with Optavia. So, okay, so what happens in her mind is she says, well, this is not a bad thing. So a couple of helping tablespoons, that won't hurt me. But this is what we know is, remember the balanced program? It's a balanced program. Okay, so what we're doing is by having that, we're throwing in not only extra calories, but you're throwing in extra carbs, you're throwing in extra maybe fat. I'm not sure exactly what's in it. So what we've done is we have not baked that perfect cake, right? We haven't baked that beautiful cake. We've altered that recipe, and that's going to change the outcome of that recipe. That's what happens. That's all. Okay. So what would work, Jane, is that peanut butter shake. Because then it would be a fueling. You'd have it with all your celery and you'd be good to go. All right. So, all right. So we talked a little bit about the fueling and the importance of the fueling. It's not, the goal is whole foods, right? But we use the fuelings just to get to where we want to be. And then we transition out of the fuelings. But what's the importance of the lean and green?
Teach you what healthy meals are.
What, somebody talking?
Lori said it teaches you what healthy meals are.
Okay. So to me, the lean and green is like your training ground for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the past, how we ate did not support our goals, right? But the lean and green teaches us what our goals are. So I mean, because I did keto for a while, years ago, many, many years ago. And, it was like, oh, you can have as much steak as you want. And the fattier it is, the better. And just eat those vegetables, but really that meat and you could start to lose weight, but it was never long term for me. And honestly, I didn't feel good doing that.
Yeah.
So with the lean and green, what we're learning is what an appropriate sized portion is of meat and what an appropriate sized portion of vegetables is, right?
Mhm.
And the fats that go with it. And when you go to optimal health, okay, so when you go off the fuelings and you're adding in all these other things, what happens is you start to add in extra vegetables. You add in fruit, you add in dairy, you add in grains. But what you're doing is you're learning portion sizes,
Yeah.
okay? So this is not a short-term thing, this is really a long-term thing. So what we're doing is we're really breaking into small baby steps how to learn to eat in a way that supports your best health. And by doing the fuelings, that's what helps us get to that point. And by learning the lean and green. Okay. Anything you want to add to that? No. All right. All right. All right. What else do we want to say? I've talked to you about that. Talk to you about that. This is all right. Now I'm going to ask a question. Okay. I want some input. Based on what we talked about with the fuelings and based on what we talked about with the lean and green, what is it that really stuck out the most that we talked about? What is it that kind of caught your attention that you think is going to make a difference for you?
Perhaps learning the appropriate the appropriate portion size of what a healthy meal is supposed to be. Right? Because
Yeah.
I have one piece of chicken instead of two, and actually I have more vegetables than I usually do. I mean, when I wasn't dieting. So actually you get, a cup and a half is a lot of vegetables.
Yeah. And Maureen, how much have you lost so far?
Well, 17, but I've been stuck. I only lost like 0.2 of a pound in the last 3 days. And I hate when that happens.
Well, that could be just your body just holding off, letting go of it. I mean, it will happen. You just have to just hang in there and just be said. That's great. 17 pounds in just a little over a month. Woo! Right. That's great. So what Maureen's saying about learning what to eat in portion sizes is huge. Because if I think back to pre-Optavia and how I ate versus now, what a difference.
Oh, I know, totally. Like I would totally stop by McDonald's or Wendy's or In-N-Out. No problem. Now I
Didn't
just
give it a
go,
second thought, right? Mhm.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Now I could just go right past it and think, ah, that was so bad, especially the French fries.
I think
But-
the game changer for me, I think, is that it's just wasn't I was eating food, I was eating nutritional food. And so I think that we maybe in America, we don't always think about, is this nutritional for us? Is this good for us? Is this fueling my body? But I think that when I started getting into this and started going in further, I understood that I was increasing the nutritional value of my food. And I was getting what I needed, even though that I was reducing my the amount of food I ate, I was increasing my nutrition. And that was a real important thing to me. And I could feel it in my body. My energy increased and I felt better. My skin got healthier. All those things happened. So I think that was a game changer. I think we have to understand that it's just all foods are not created equal. And this is real important to know when I'm switching out and we think, well, what is this really happening? And to understand the quality that we're having. So that was important for me.
So if we go back to what that scientist that studied obesity said, which was there's two things that if we address those and dealt with those, we could basically wipe out obesity. One was psychological part of it, which we've talked about in other elements, and we'll be talking more about that. But the second thing was logistical. So having fuelings solves, as you're changing your habits, what it does is it solves the dilemma of worrying about what you're going to eat and whether that is actually going to aid you into getting to your health goals, right? In a convenient, easy manner. Because I don't know about you, but if something's difficult or if I had to be in the kitchen every day prepping food, I don't think I would have been successful on the program. So the convenience of the fuelings and the fact that they're top of class and they're giving us the nutrition we need, to me, is part of the gold of the program, right? It made it, I'm not saying getting to your goal weight is easy, but what I'm saying is using the fuelings makes it simpler,
Definitely.
right? Just makes it simple. And we do a lot of traveling. I'm telling you, it's easy to travel with the fuelings. You aren't, those truck stops are deadly. You go in to use the restroom and you come out and there, honestly, there might be a banana there, but that's high in sugar. But there's everything else is bad for you. Let's just say that it's bad for you. So, so the convenience of it, and so those two things, right? So what this does is it solves that logistical problem for you, and it solves it in a way that is convenient and healthy and tastes good. I think the fuelings taste great. I mean, everybody has their favorite, right? But gosh, I'm not complaining about it at all.
So like I love the fuelings also. I have my favorites. Those chocolate puddings are delicious and I feel like I'm actually giving myself a treat when I have one of those. So I like to finish it up at the end of the day and just feel like I had a nice little treat. I love the chili too and the soups, but for me, and Nancy knows this past week, I've been consumed with the conference. And I packed my fuelings. I had no problem because I enjoy those fuelings. But then when I got there, it was a total fail because I didn't factor in that the break times were more for the networking and the social networking and the really important discussions that took place during the break, the lunch and the dinner breaks. And at first I was planning to just go off on the side and do my own fueling thing. But I ended up like joining in with the group and that was detrimental because we go out to eat, talk, discuss the seminars, and it was horrible for my program. Because if I'm at home, I can easily control what I eat, but when I go out with the group and it's a socialization and networking thing, how do you handle that? I don't know. I guess making healthy choices, but it was tough because we'd all be sharing in a family meal. So
Yeah, family style is a challenge. Shannon, you get faced with that a lot, don't you? Because of events and all that. How do you deal with that?
Sometimes better than others. And so if I'm, um, so what I've had to learn how to do, and a lot of times it's free food. So there's something in me that's like, how dare you not eat free food, right? Like to save money. So, what I learned the hard way is I can't make that my 5 and 1, like, because it's not going to work. I have no control over it. And so what I would do is, like even last night, and then 2 times this weekend, so probably 4 times a week, I'm going out to eat with people. And at the beginning, I would be like, well, I better eat Fuelings all day and that be my 5 and 1. But the inability to have self-control and then control any of it, I'm not good at it yet. So I had to back up and back out of it and actually do like my lean and green sometime during the day, and either not eat or say something else, or literally just get a vegetable, like own it and just be like, just get a garden salad and just be the person that's different. So, cause I didn't have the self-control, I can't handle it. It's really hard for me. Cause the emotional cues, the social cues, the joy, like I'm so emotionally driven. I'm much more emotional than logical, that it is like hyper overwhelming. It'd be like if I went to a bar and somebody gave me a drink and I'm not supposed to drink, like I can't handle it. Not yet. So that's the truth.
One of the things that I've done when especially like you said, Shannon, if I would eat my lean and green at home, but I was faced with that, I always looked at the appetizer menu.
Yeah.
And if they had something like, something that fit into at least considered to be a reasonably good choice,
Yep.
that's what I would go for. And then I always, well, you guys probably all know this about me, but I'm a coffeeholic. And so for me, what I would say to myself is, I'll just order a cup of coffee too. And that way I would eat my little whatever appetizer, or if they had like a clear broth vegetable soup, I'll order a cup of soup, hold the crackers, and then I just drink a lot of water and talk to people, spend a lot of time talking to people. And then I would order a cup of coffee if people were still eating. That way I didn't feel like I had just, you know what I mean? Because you want to be part of what's going on.
Because there's differences when you're with people you know and love. You can tell them what's going on, and then sometimes it's just not everybody's business in the business world for me. So I have to just think differently. So yeah, I'm not the best at it all the time. We just had a women's retreat and up at Lost Canyon Young Life, and Saturday was like not good. So it's just, but it's one decision at a time. So anyway.
And the great thing is this is, just because you like that particular day, you struggled, maybe you had more protein, maybe you had whatever, you make the best choices.
Right.
You just make the best choices. And one of the biggest things I tell people is, you can't control what restaurants do. I mean, they're going to add in extra fats. They've got extra whatever that goes into it. But what you can control is how much you eat of it. You can say, I'm only going to have this much of it. And even if you want, like Lisa, you're really good about taking things home. You're good at just saying, hey, bring me the to-go box, and then you just put in, what you don't want to eat right then and there.
I have two to-go boxes sitting on my counter right now that I need to deal with. But it's tough because
but I'm bad, Lisa.
Thank you
Sometimes
for sharing.
Yeah, that was good, Brooke. I mean, I want to call you Brooke, Shannon. Oh, why do I want to call you Brooke? Okay. So yeah, so it's a lot of it is just intentional too. You just really have to be intentional about what you're doing. So, all right. So anything else about what you picked up from tonight's element about the fuelings and lean and green? I want to say this about fuelings. They are magic little bars because I remember when I first started the program and I thought this couldn't possibly keep me satisfied. But there is, I think because of the nutrition in them, I think that's why your body just is really happy to have that good nutrition, even though the bars are thick, right? So, and plus you're going to eat again in 3 hours. So not like it's a long period of time. Anyway, so if you've ever had that whole thing about whole foods versus packaged, prepackaged foods, which I think all of us have thought about that. I just want you to know what you're having with the Optavia bars really is top of class. And even Dr. Anderson, who started the program, continues to coach the program, leads the program. It's been 20 years now. He still eats his brownie every morning for breakfast. So he loves it. So anyway, they're good quality and you're getting the right nutrition. All right. So guys should have a good week. Anything else? All right. All right. Guys have a great week. And remember, 5 fuelings and 1 lean and green. All right. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.